18 ways to use neural networks that you've almost certainly never heard of. Most people use only a tiny fraction of the possibilities that exist. I've been teaching people how to work with artificial intelligence for 3 years now, and I almost always see the same thing. People just skim the surface, they don't go deeper, and that's why they don't unlock the full potential of neural networks. And in this video, I'll show you how to turn on turbo acceleration and easy mode so that the neural network immediately gives you a high quality result. This is your #1 speed boost. Ask the neural network to pose questions before starting the task. The same thing happens when you select the deep research function in the G5 chat. It first asks you a few clarifying questions, and then after receiving your answers, it starts carrying out the task. Ask for this all the time, because then the neural network will understand the task better. It's like when you work with an employee and you tell them something. Please complete this task. What do? Naturally, they clarify things with you and ask a few questions before getting started. But for some reason, the neural network isn't trained to do this right away, so ask it to first ask questions and then complete the task. The second approach, in the same vein, is when you ask to improve your own prompt. It sounds very strange if you were to give this task to employees, but imagine the situation. You say, Vasya, I need you to prepare a report by the end of the day. Please tell me how I can improve my assignment for you so that you can do a better job with it. Vasily Petrovich, it would actually be great if you could tell me what exactly you want to see in this report. And you see, this is a strange conversation for people, of course, but with a neural network it works, and it will give you clarifications about what it needs in order to complete the task. Even better, #3, do it step by step. And this is my favorite feature because thanks to this, you can pack a huge amount of task execution into a single prompt. And I see from my students that this is exactly what speeds up their work. For example, if you need to create content for your blog, you say, okay, look, step 1, write down the target audience profile based on my previous instructions. Next, step 2, list what their main triggers are. Step 3, write a list of topics that interest them the most. Step 4, choose the most relevant topics from that list. Step 5, write several posts for the most relevant ones. Step 6, critique them. All of that. Step 7, redo it with new input. That is, you can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, many tasks into a single prompt, and the neural network will go through them step by step. It'll do all of that. Sometimes it will clarify something with you, and sometimes it will just keep going without stopping. And this allows you to handle a colossal amount of work, hours of work at once, in a single prompt. Like this if you found it useful, if you didn't know about these things before. And if you already knew, write which ones you knew about, and maybe share some of your own life hacks. You can tell us what you use neural networks for. Let's move on. If we're talking about writing, emails, and texts in general, neural networks tend to fail when it comes to writing emails. Even though everyone uses neural networks to write text, people still complain that neural networks produce crappy texts that are bland, abstract, and uninteresting to anyone. How can you do it differently? It's very simple. Just upload something to the neural network. Give it an example of a text you like and ask it to use the vibe, mood, and slang from that text. And then it will use those elements described there. And after that, you upload some factual content. So you have a sample text that has the vibe, the mood, and the factual content. You need to take all the information from there and ask it to rewrite this text while keeping that vibe. And this mode really works. Tested and proven. It's actually very effective. #5. Ask the neural network to critique what it has done. Again, this kind of dialogue would look very strange to employees. Vasya, please make this report. Here you go, Vasily Vasilyevich. The report is ready. Vasya, now please critique your own report. Like, if you were a critic, the report honestly is terrible, Vasily Vasilyevich. Excellent, Vasya, now redo the report. So basically this kind of strange dialogue happens between you and the neural network, and for it, that's completely normal. It has no emotional attachments of any kind. It's 100% flexible. That's why you can switch these roles here and ask it to critique these responses. By the way, if you need even more prompts, they're below. Under this video, I've put together a collection of 2,000 prompts for neural networks that you can use in absolutely any field. So click the link below and download it. The next topic is roles. And many people already know, like, oh yeah, I know this. I just need to say that you are in the role of a marketer with 350 years of experience. Guys, that doesn't work. Roles work completely differently. Here's the principle. You need to set a role in order to translate. And the neural network acts like a switch, turning into another person. Just like I showed earlier with the example where you ask it in the role of a marketer or a strategist to write a target audience profile. Okay, then in the role of a copywriter to write text, and then in the role of the target audience to critique those texts. So when you switch roles, it's not even about what kind of experience it will have. This was necessary when ChatGPT 3.5 came out, because otherwise it could not do anything at all. So if you see something like that, it means the prompt was simply written using data that's already a century old. Now, the role is only needed to switch the neural network into a particular state. Use trick number 7. And in fact, this isn't even really a prompt, but rather a completely new approach to working with neural networks. It's all about discussions with Neuron Kai. You need to save the project, and for many people right now, that's not obvious. I'll show you this in practice on the computer. So look, I have the script for this very video you're watching right now. And here I have a link to a chat in Claude, where I was discussing things with it. Here are the different options for this video. I also have links here to other chats, like in the GPT chat, or for example, where I made the thumbnails. Inside the document itself, where the results of the work are stored, I also add links to the chat conversations I have. Because when you start a chat with GPT, or with Claude, or with any neural network, a link to a unique chat appears up here at the top. And we copy this link and paste it here, so that later, if you need to redo something or return to this conversation, you can always follow the link and find that chat, and immediately continue, add to it, or maybe redo something. And this speeds up your work many times over. So use this tap. Approach number 8. Make a step-by-step plan before you start. This method blew up the entire internet, thanks to the release of the DeepSeek neural network, which before carrying out a task, at first it would think, and here, using this prompt, we ask the neural network. First, to think about what needs to be done, and then to do it. And then firstly, it internally. Well, in the context of the dialogue, it loads a sequence of actions and then follows these steps one by one. Why does it work this way? Because a neural network is a predictive model. So it sees what it sees and then predicts that most likely things will happen this way. For example, if you push a ball and it starts rolling, it predicts that most likely it will keep rolling in that direction and eventually fall over there. And the neural network proceeds these things in exactly the same way. A good, clear example. If you've ever watched TV series, at some point you definitely felt like, oh, now the main character is about to be attacked, or he'll end up in an ambush, or something else will happen to him. How did we sense that, my friends? Well, it's simply because we've watched so many of these series, movies, and everything else that at some point we just know, aha, this one's a traitor and that one's about to get killed. It's a similar story with neural networks, except instead of TV series, they've had all sorts of other documents loaded into their heads. And so they come up with these things. But if we create this context ourselves by asking it to generate these steps, then it performs better. In this case, it handles the task and works more ahead the rate. The next method, number 9, is to ask the neural network to think like a programmer. My father is a programmer, and when I need some kind of unconventional approach to solving a problem, naturally I can call him, reach out and ask for advice, because his way of thinking is really different. And in general, all programmers have a different approach. They start to think structurally. They fed a huge amount of programs and various services to neural networks, and these are, after all, algorithms, sequential steps for performing certain tasks. And not always mathematical ones, but even logical tasks as well. So if you have an unconventional task, not that you need a program or some code, but for example, you need to create a motivation program for your employee, or develop an execution algorithm for some action. Here you can write a prompt like, think like a programmer, or even better in English, solve using the program of sort method. And then the neural network will carry this out, and it will do it well. Next is approach number 10. It works great when you don't know what result you want to get, or where the solution to the problem lies. And by the way, this is actually a pretty cool story. If we're talking about your personal development over the next year, then it would look like this. Take a look, please. Here's all the information about me. Here's what I do, here's my blog, here's my sales, here's how I make money, here's my profile, here's my resume. And then, using the 3 of 100 method, which is like a mind map method, come up with ways for me to start earning more, to become more effective, to achieve success in a particular field, or if there's a field you're not familiar with. Yes, how can I find my blind spots? How can I create new habits? So you're asking to do this using the 3 of 100 method? In this case, what happens is the neural network follows one chain of actions. If it sees that there's no solution there, it goes back and creates a new chain of actions, a third, a fourth, and so on. So instead of trying just one wrong method, it tries several and comes back to you after having tested and analyzed different approaches. And this gives you a much more accurate basis for making a decision. First. Second, you immediately gain a broader perspective. There was a good example. It was given in the book by Chip Heath and Dan Heath, Decisive: How to Make Better Choices in Life and Work. They conducted a study of thousands of decisions made by boards of directors and found that when a decision is made as a simple yes or no, the probability of making a mistake isn't 50-50, but rather 60-40, 60%. There is a higher chance of making a mistake when we choose between just two options. The same thing happens when the neural network gives you a single answer. You might think you're making the right decision, but in reality, at that moment, you could be making a mistake with a probability of 60%. In fact, that's exactly what happens with people. Ask it to provide several options, and you'll make fewer mistakes, especially in situations where you don't know the correct answer. Method number 11. This is deep research. ChatGPT has a deep research feature. When you click the button, it asks you additional clarifying questions, takes half an hour or an hour to think, and then comes back after studying hundreds of websites with a detailed report. It's a really cool feature. It allows you to thoroughly explore a topic. But an even more advanced tool, this isn't about ChatGPT anymore, is to use, for example, the same LM notebook. I recorded a separate video reviewing what it can do. And in general, as you can see, I recommend a lot of different neural networks. If you're interested, you'll find a link below to a free course where I talk about the different neural networks you can use, what they're for, and how to apply them in practice. In LM Notebook, when you create a notebook, you can also add functions here. There's deep research, and if you select it, you'll be able to conduct in-depth research using LM Notebook. It uses Gemini, which will gather a huge number of links from Google to articles, materials, and other resources, and upload them. After that, you can build mind maps, conduct research, and interact specifically with the data that has been collected here. And you don't have to take into account everything else on the internet that might confuse the neural network. With this tool, you can conduct competitor research. For example, you can ask it to gather all the information the neural network knows about one of your competitors and see what's there. You can also ask the neural network to create a large map of what is important to consumers, based on their reviews and the questions they ask on marketplaces. This way, you get a vast trove of data based on real facts that have happened somewhere on the internet. Number 12, and this approach frees up a huge amount of time that you currently spend checking what the chat GPT is giving you. Because usually you ask, make me 10 posts, make me 5 emails, 10 headlines, 5 options or ways. Basically, you ask it to do a lot of things. It gives it to you, you read it and realize, damn, this part is nonsense, but this isn't. How do you even tell the difference? Just ask ChatGPT to rate each answer itself on a scale of 1 to 10. Every response it has generated, and you'll be surprised at how accurately it can evaluate them. So it gives you the answers itself, and you can even ask it to be strict with itself and rate them using the lowest possible scale. And it will rate itself harshly, saying things like, yeah, wow, that was total nonsense, what an idiot I am, and it'll be beating itself up over it. But the most important thing for you is that this way you can see which options are actually worth paying attention to, even though it was an AI that generated them for you. Tony Robbins used this method in his trainings when he would ask people to rate their state on a scale from 1 to 10. But the most important additional question he would ask was this: what would it take for your score to go up by 2 points? And we asked the neural network the same thing. So you gave me 4 options for how to solve my problem, for example. For example, how to increase income or how to become more effective based on everything you've been fed. And now tell me, how can I make it so that each of your options scores 2 points higher? What needs to happen for these options to work? And then it gives you practical recommendations on what else could be improved here. The next point, which many people for some reason forget, but it's a key thing, is to study the attachments. That is, you attach a document and study the attachment. Simply put, a neural network is like a stove on which you can cook. The prompt is the recipe you use to cook, but the attachments you add are like the ingredients. And if you have bad ingredients, then the cake will turn out lousy too. That is, without attached files, without samples. From the text, the neural network will use something from what it already has preloaded. Some data, general information from the internet. They can contradict each other, and that's where hallucinations come from. But if you upload factual, specific data, then the neural network gives a more accurate answer. A good example is Vitaly, who studied with us. He has a sushi delivery business, and he uploaded his last 70 sales as an attachment. After that, he asked the neural network to analyze these sales and find ways to increase profit and the average check. And the neural network looked at it and said, oh, sell this together with that as a combo meal for this price and you'll get more. He did that and as a result made 8% more profit in a week. Method number 14. It's to stop communicating with ChatGPT in the chat. Some of you probably won't understand me at all here. But the idea is as follows. You need to stop communicating with it just in the chat and switch to interacting through systems. This is G5 in ChatGPT. It's called Projects in Claude. It's called Spaces in Perplexity. And it's called Gems in Gemini. What is this? This is when you actually upload a prompt into the neural network and it gets saved there. Then when you open that assistant, it already remembers this prompt. It's like a multi-cooker that already has a baking program set up. You just load in the ingredients and say, buddy, bake. Or like a coffee machine where you walk up, press a button, say cappuccino, and it makes you a cappuccino according to the preset program. So this program is essentially the prompt you created, which you upload and save, and then you just say, prepare a YouTube video for me, write a letter, transcribe what's here. I have a meeting with clients, list who promised what to whom, and so on. All you need to do is set up these buttons for yourself that will perform your actions. And this is exactly where a tremendous acceleration in work lies. Our students have created such assistants. We have a practicum where they create them in 2 hours, and they made assistants that completed a month's worth of work in 2 or 3 hours. And these aren't isolated cases. Things like this happen regularly. What does this mean? It means that this is exactly where the main acceleration lies. The next approach, number 15, is to create an AI agent, where the neural network starts working autonomously and independently, performing tasks on its own. The owner of a restaurant in Bali, Aztec, studied with us. She created an assistant that answers clients' questions on Instagram. So when people write and ask things about booking a table, it immediately responds to them with this information. Top managers from MVideo and Eldorado also studied with us, and they created an assistant that handles marketing inquiries. On review platforms, if the review is positive, it replies, yes, thank you very much for your feedback. If the review is negative, it calls a manager to resolve the issue. And there are many such situations, but this is important not only for business owners. We had a case where Sasha Ignatenko created a personal assistant for himself, which took over part of his correspondence with potential clients and partners, and this bot simply freed him up. He used to spend 4 hours a day on routine communication with people, and he had even burned out and was ready to quit his job, even though the job itself was cool. So in the end, he created this bot, freed up his time, and the bot started making sales for him worth 600,000 rubles a month, and it communicated with designers and architects. And this is exactly where the big advantage lies. If you're interested in more details about this, there will be a link below to a masterclass where I spend 3 hours explaining her agent in detail, the 16th method. You can ask a neural network to generate a prompt for another neural network. And it's not obvious, but it's pretty cool. For example, if we're talking about video neural networks, lately JSON prompts have been working really well. These are prompts where it's specified that the color is this, the scene is like that, the camera's at this angle, the lens is such and such. In general, a lot of different details. And when you describe it in plain human language, naturally you might forget some of these things. But when you ask a neural network, please make me a JSON prompt that describes this kind of scene. You describe the scene in plain language, and then the neural network goes bzz and decomposes it. All of this turns into a prompt that looks like a piece of code. Then you just copy this prompt, send it, and voila, a miracle happens. You end up with a really great result, and you can ask for the same thing again. Look, here's my conversation with you, and now, from all of this, create a prompt for the AI assistant, so I can do everything faster with one click. And then it will process, sort, and assemble it. This turns into a ready-made instruction for the AI assistant. That way you get a speed boost. Method number 17. That's what it's called. Don't start until I give you permission. Now, this is an interesting story. At some point, NERC might run out of token capacity for how much can be uploaded in a single request. But at the same time, it retains a large history. So when you hit this limit, here's a good way to handle it. You say, look, I'm gonna upload documents to you one by one now. Don't do anything until I tell you, got it? And it says, yes, I understand, go ahead and upload. And then you upload the first document, the second, third, fourth, fifth. So you've uploaded a lot of things, and after that you say, now analyze all of this and figure it out, what's connected to what. Or for other questions, you can ask, but don't start taking action until we improve this request, until we understand what we're doing, and so on. In other words, you set the conditions for when it should start working, and when it should just wait. What mode is it in? And this is actually a pretty cool thing, when you can switch the neural network into different working modes. And method 18 is a rather non-obvious life hack that lets you figure out when the neural network is making things up and when it's actually finding interesting facts and relying on them. I asked it directly in the memory settings. What does it remember about me? This is called custom instructions in ChatGPT, and there's an equivalent in code. I asked it the following. If you're making things up, start your response to me with the name Pashka. But if you're writing based on facts, call me Pavel. So when the neural network starts addressing me in a familiar way, I realize, well, it's making things up. And these things allow you to identify by certain signs what's actually happening. Of course, this doesn't protect you from all possible risks that it might still make things up in detail. In general, about how to make sure the neural network doesn't fabricate things and about safety techniques. I made a separate video about that, but nevertheless, these methods can definitely help you. So my friends, let me know which of these methods was the most useful for you, which ones you knew about, which ones you didn't, and maybe you used some other approaches in your work. That would be interesting to hear as well. And give this video a like if you're not a bot or a neural netter. This was Pavel with you. See you soon. Bye.